Hello, I'm James Daggar-Nickson. Welcome to Media Week. Ahead on the program, we'll do a deep dive on the automotive sector's ad spend in the commercial TV space. We'll look at the latest headlines in media, including speculation of a deal between Seven and HT&E, plus, of course, all the latest television ratings. My co-host, as always, James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week, is here to take us through all of those stories, plus more. But first, Ebiquity CEO Richard Basil-Jones and Think TV CEO Kim Portrate last week presented findings on returns on investment from the automotive sector's $700 million plus advertising annual spend. I'm pleased to say they both join us to tell us about the findings and how it was received by the automotive advertisers. Thank you both for your time. $700 million plus, where does that put them in terms of sector weightings towards the amount of spend?
Yeah, they're certainly in our top 10, that's for sure. Make no mistake about that. So the big categories are FMCG, auto, finance and the like, but yeah, automotive is one of the big ones.
So Richard, so tell us, so your role in this, you run a business that really tracks advertising spend in sectors, on brands, and you give that intelligence to your subscribers, right?
Yeah.
So what you've done here then is deep dive into the auto sector and tracking. You got access to some brands' ad spend, yeah, and you were able to get a few findings. What were the sort of headlines out of that?
Yeah, James. Yeah, we have another division in our business which looks all about effectiveness of advertising. So not only do we monitor advertising, but we have a large group of econometricians who study the impact of advertising and, if you like, trying to look at the causal factors of what's driving sales. And so this study was all about that. Let's look at the automotive sector. Let's understand what's really driving sales and growth. And to your point, we had access to 3 years of data for 4 key automotive brands. And that 3 years of data covers all sorts of inputs, basically as much information you can get from the clients as you can, which is not only all their advertising activity, but it's also their promotional activity, as well as all the other factors that impact sales, and that's seasonality, it's economic, and it's also just all the activities from public relations and all other events.
Yeah. Okay.
Was it good news for TV in terms of it being a powerful medium for them?
The answer is yes, very much so. The big answer was great for advertising. I mean, what it showed, and really this was the bigger headline, was that advertising works. I know people always say, you know, yes, it works, but we've proven it works, and it's been proven in the past, but this for the auto sector was very clear in terms of new sales that are being driven and the contribution that advertising makes. Certainly from Think TV's point of view, the real headline for them was that TV was the major contributor.
Very, very good news. And look, no shortage of car ads on TV these days as well. Nice to know it works.
It does work. And I think what motivated us to pick the study up in the first instance, and we work at arm's length with Ebiquity, is that that's the #1 question for brands, is how do I grow? And so in this instance, certainly all advertising was really powerful. Television was the most, which was nice. But we're really happy that we can provide some kind of intelligence for advertisers and marketers to kind of grow their businesses. That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. So I guess out of this came a suggestion that maybe the automakers could be spending a little bit more on TV. Would improve their sales. Now, I think you chose Melbourne because it's really the big auto makers, importers are based down there. Not everybody likes being told how they should be spending their money. How did they react to all this?
It was very positive. So we launched in Melbourne last week for all the reasons you mentioned, and we've had really positive feedback since that. Both Ebiquity and Think TV have had fielded calls for the last couple of days, both from automotive advertisers, but also people outside the category asking if they could have a presentation, if they could participate in the next round of study. And I think that's important because what we're doing is changing the conversation and reminding people that there is a way to grow their business that they're already using if they invest in wisely. So we've had very positive response.
And from your perspective, Kim, how important is that to be able to quantify and solidify the positive impact of television in what is a increasingly competitive ad market?
So I think if you go back, the community that we serve, marketers and agencies, are an incredibly cynical group, and rightly so. And there are lots of options in terms of where you invest your money. I was a CMO for many years, and I think the key thing is empirical evidence that's collected independently using a client's own data is quite difficult to challenge because, you know, the facts are the facts. So it is an important part of the process to make sure that you do have the evidence and that you can, justify your claims. And you're right, it is competitive, but television certainly was the most effective medium, twice as much as the next, and then 3 times as much as the third. So, and plenty of headroom for those that are looking to grow their barons.
Now, when you were chatting to people in the auto sector and saying, OK, I can spend more money and I'll sell some more cars, better return on my investment, where should they be taking money out of? If they're not increasing their marketing spend, who do you think they might be over-indexing in?
Yeah, well, look, I think the first and positive news for all the media that play in the auto sector is that there's a positive return on investment for all media. So in actual fact, pulling money out of any media type actually will have an impact and a negative impact on sales. So that's the first point. So our message would be don't stop investing in each of the media types. Having said that, if you look at the investment and return on investment curves, our answer would be the bigger upside and the bigger headroom is with TV. You're going to get a better return there. So if you are looking to spend more or reallocate, certainly we now have little models for each of the brands that participated to say, if you put an extra $500,000 in here or $100,000 or $1 million, what would it do to sales? And we can play what-if games now. And so for brands, individual brands, and actually down to models, you can play the game. OK, I've got $10 million in my budget. Here are all the media types that I play with. What is the right and appropriate mix?
Can I ask, were you someone who lives and breathes this stuff and did the research? Were you surprised at all by the clear lead?
The clear lead, a little bit, yeah. The margin between TV and the next player, which is radio, was larger than we've seen in other studies around the world. But TV is always the lead. I've got to say that. That is not a surprise to us at all. We undertook a FMCG, the packaged goods area. It was more than just food. It was also pharmacy and liquor in that as well in our first wave of this study. And same story, TV, the dominant contributor to growth and sales. The margin between them was a little bit different. It wasn't as clear-cut. Still twice bigger than the next one in line. And that was incredibly consistent with global studies, unbelievably consistent. But the auto one, TV was really a clear leader in this market.
There's been a lot of controversy about digital ad spend and investment this year for a number of factors. Yep. A lot of non-digital people we have on the show saying, look, everybody's digital mad, they're probably over-indexing in digital. What's your message there?
Yeah,
You've got to be careful with your digital spend?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the conversation, and I'm happy to say Ebiquity's been leading this for the last 5 years, is around transparency and accountability. And there is no question, there's greater transparency and accountability in some media than others. And digital's under the spotlight right now. And, from our point of view, if you look at the return on investment, online, be it display or video, is at the lower end of the scale compared to traditional media. So does it have a role to play? Absolutely. We also know in auto and through the study that TV and other media drives traffic to websites. And we also know that search and research in the automotive area is really important. It's really important. So when you're in that buying mode, getting on a site for a brand such as VW or Suzuki or whatever it might be is really important. So it has a role to play. It's the proportion of the role it plays.
Kim, we had you on the show, I think probably in your second or third day in the job almost.
That's right,
last year after you joined.
Yep.
And we covered the sort of the launch function almost you had later last year.
That's right.
Just tell us about, now this is the first time all the free-to-air broadcasters and Foxtel, I think, have worked together as a one. What happens now? Because you've played a group role. Do you hand over some of this data to the individual networks and they take it up? How does it go from here?
Well, we're fairly public and transparent with the data. So you're right, we are the United Nations of television, which is a great place to be. We publish information for advertisers or agencies readily available off our website. We also work with our network sales teams to brief them on the research that's coming. We probably give them a little bit more detail because obviously they're the ones selling day to day and need that detail. So the information is readily available for anyone that's really interested in a public domain. And you know, if you've got a burning question and you're in the automotive category, certainly a call to us or a call to one of the shareholders will help.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, how long, if this has some impact, how long do you think you might see some in the figures will show changing levels of ad spend for auto and TV, do you think?
Well, I'd like to see
Is it a real long-term play, or could it happen quite soon?
Well, I think if you're a brand manager or a marketing director or a CMO in this category looking at a growth target, we've given you some very clear indications on how you might accomplish that in a relatively short period of time, so within the quarter, within the half. So I would hope that, armed with this kind of empirical independent evidence, that you'd have a go at moving some money around so that you could grow your business.
Yeah, there was one element in the study too, which was certainly interesting for me, about the halo effect that particular advertising has. So if I'm a brand, and I'm going to use VW for an example again, if I'm advertising, golf, VW Golf, we saw that there was an impact on that particular model, this is an example using VW Golf, but the direct impact was around 35%, but there's this halo effect of the other 65% influencing all the other models within that brand. And so, if I'm an auto manufacturer and I'm thinking about my next launch, I'll also be thinking the impact that's going to have on my other brands and other models.
You made mention that automotive, you've done FMCG in the past. Other sectors, other industries that you're looking to potentially sort of do this sort of analysis on?
Yeah.
I imagine you'd hope so.
Yeah, we've got...
No, we are.
Yeah.
Absolutely are. Yeah, and we're working on those now. So e-commerce businesses, so online businesses is certainly one that Ebiquity are working on, and the finance category. So...
Like financial services?
Yeah, and in its broader sense. So we should, we'll complete the suite, as we call it, and present an industry-wide report in September at our annual conference.
All right, well, unfortunately, we've run out of time. Big thank you to Kim Portrate. Thank you very much. And, of course, Richard Basil-Jones. Appreciate you both joining us today.
Our pleasure.
We are off to a quick break. When we come back, the latest on the competing bids for control of Fairfax Media. Stay with us.
I could not find where my great-grandfather had originated from. That's when I did an ancestry DNA test. Amazingly, I solved my problem.
Discover the story only your DNA can tell. Order your Ancestry DNA kit today.
Buying the perfect property can be a real challenge. You can spend months looking around only for the home you find to be bought by someone else. That's why I founded property buyers agency Cohen Handler, to empower the buyer to own the home of their dreams. With hundreds of successful purchases, we take the stress and long hours out of trying to buy a new home by guiding, negotiating, and purchasing your property. Simply call Cohen Handler today and tell us what you want in a property, and let us show you everything that exists in the marketplace, based on your criteria, including location, price, and potential growth.
Thanks to Cohen Handler, we were able to find the perfect home for our family to grow into.
We met with Cohen Handler in late January, and by April we had purchased a property.
There's nothing to lose. Save time and money. Get the experts from Cohen Handler on your side and find your perfect property today. Go online now at cohenhandler.com.au or call 1300 420 160 and get the right property at the right price.
We know you've always worked hard for your money. Isn't it time your money worked hard for you? Invest with La Trobe Financial, trusted by Australians for more than 60 years and judged Money Magazine's best mortgage fund 8 years in a row.
Dreaming of a luxurious holiday? With Luxury Escapes, it's possible. We work with the world's best hotels to create incredible holidays at prices we can all afford. When you book with Luxury Escapes, you also get VIP inclusions. First, download the app or go to luxuryescapes.com. Then browse our offers. Purchase online or call one of our experts, available 7 days a week. Discover the world's best holidays today with Luxury Escapes.
When the others have packed it in for the night and the Twitterati are stuck on some online outrage, the newspapers are rolling off these presses. Whatever they say about the 24/7 news cycle and the digital age, it's still the papers that break the big stories. So on Heads Up, we'll have all the news of the day. I'll interview the newsmakers. There'll be plenty of strong opinions, but most importantly, we'll have exclusive access to the next day's papers. A heads up on what's making news tomorrow. So tune in before you turn in. Heads Up on Sky News Live.
250 Aboriginal leaders are meeting at Uluru to demand that we change the Constitution to divide ourselves by race. They should look closer to home to see what really needs fixing. On the Bolt Report, only Sky News Live.
Hi there, welcome back to Media Week. My co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week, is of course in. We are going to discuss some of the major stories of the week, and of course one of the big ones, ongoing ones, the bid for control of Fairfax Media. Where are we at? Because we've got 2 bids now.
Still only got 2, no one else.
No one else has entered the frame?
In the frame yet. I mean, it's still early days. Due diligence will commence. The data room will be open next week, which I guess a team of accountants and bookkeepers will get in there and just go through and see if, OK, all these numbers add up. But we think it's really worth paying whatever we, potentially going to bid for a share. Yeah.
One of the other interesting aspects is the personalities involved. In particular, Anthony Catalano, who runs Domains, a hugely successful domain, and of course Greg Hywood, and suggestions from John Jury in The Australian I noted last week that perhaps Catalano is conflicted because of,
he's been linked to the TPG bid, hasn't he, very closely, and he's been in discussions with them prior to them going public, I guess. And we talked last week, you asked me if Hywood's days are over. Well, maybe not, if you think, that given their relationships to the other bidder, that he could perhaps stay on in his role if they're on the same page. So that might be too soon to sort of predict.
Suggestions there's a rift between the two of them?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, look, they're both ex-Melbourne. Well, Hywood's Sydney, I guess, but he was in Melbourne for a long time. Worked with Catalano. Yeah, look, I'm not sure. Yeah, look, it's really hard to know, and I'm not that close to them to know, but they've done a good job, I think, together as a team.
Yeah.
You could say that. An interesting thing that came out this week too, via the Senate estimates, was earlier in the week Greg Hywood was complaining about the ABC spend on digital, not related to this bid exactly, but help explaining why, Fairfax has been going through some hard times. If government-funded bodies can get out there, sell news with, on the coin of the taxpayer. But then Michelle Guthrie came out and said, look, the ABC only spends 0.2% of its budget on marketing itself. Google AdWords, I think, works out to be about $30,000 a year. Some people are arguing, well, maybe it's that small a spend, they should be promoting, stuff that the taxpayers paid for, so I'm not sure.
Moving on to M&A space, and in this case, an unsuccessful on the ACCC, essentially putting the kibosh on APN Outdoor and Media's $1.6 billion tie-up competition grounds. Yeah,
I think we could sort of see this coming, couldn't we? The ACCC flagged it a little while ago that they were a bit concerned about the size of the market share the proposed new company would have. Both APN and Media, driven a lot by Brendan Cook, but we spoke to him during the week and he said, look, it was never originally part of his plan to take over APN Outdoor or to merge with them, but the opportunity came up at short notice and they thought, look, it offered a lot, and they went for it. He was criticised by the ACCC for saying, he called it preposterous that the ACCC would have these concerns. He didn't want to get into sort of a name calling, but he did say, look, he's very close to the people that advertise and he think they were all on board because they saw lots of upside for their customers if the two companies got together.
What now, if anything, do you think? They just continue on their merry way as separate entities?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure about APN Outdoor, because they've just been sort of in limbo, if you like, getting ready for this. It was sort of, you've got the feeling it was really driven by Media and Brendan Cook. So it will be business as usual, but they've got to get their head around that now, continuing as their own company. Media have been diversifying a fair bit over the last couple of years, so I think they'll keep doing that.
As well, this has been interesting, very interesting part of their business.
Yeah.
We spoke a couple of times to Kieran Davies, of course, who was head of Here, There and Everywhere, formerly APN News and Media. He must no doubt be pleased.
Yeah, well, he was on, I think, on the show.
Yeah.
He was saying, yeah, look, we
Very
really
much against
that gives them a market advantage that we don't think they should have so we can stay competitive.
And his company back in the news, speculation around something with Seven. Apparently they've been talking.
There was chat that Seven might be interested in their radio assets. Gee, I don't know, could you take the radio assets out of that company? There's not going to be a lot left
Seems
these
to
days,
be
is there?
part of his idea of, you know, the cross-platform offering that they can provide to advertisers. That's a key plank, I would have thought.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, Seven and sort of HT&E both sort of knocked that on the head pretty quickly. So if something does eventuate in some other form in the future, we'll have to follow that.
Let's talk television news. Another pop-up channel, another dedicated channel on Fox Sports for the cricket.
Yeah, with the Champions Trophy. I think it's a one-day tournament, not dissimilar to the World Cup.
I think it's a 2020 tournament. Is it a 2020 tournament?
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I think
I've got a feeling it's one day.
All right, we'll go with that.
It's one or the other. Let's not. But it's cricket at the highest level.
Yeah, it's good cricket.
It's going to be in England this year, in I think Wales and Birmingham. A lot of the games. Some at the Oval in London as well. Australia's playing, so there'll be a lot of interest in it. Fox Sports using their pop-up channel. They're going to be all over it with. Yep. So do I. Live cricket. And there's another one coming too, the America's Cup. It's going to be exclusive and live on Fox Sports. They're also going to utilise a dedicated channel for that too.
Oh, good work. And when we talk about promotion and marketing, hugely promoted return of Twin Peaks. I have to confess, it was a little bit before my time, but my older sister was obsessed with the original. Debuted on Stan. Do we know how it went?
Yeah, no, we don't, because you don't really know how the platforms go here. It was on a niche cable channel, if you like, in the US. I think it was on Showcase. Did 500,000 viewers, which isn't bad for sort of a premium cable channel, if you like. But when it was on free-to-air, I think it was on the ABC network originally in the US, and the last episode did something around about 30 million viewers. So it's a lot smaller than that, and it just shows you how much TV's changed over the years. Wow. You very rarely get audiences that big now. All
right, let's head to ratings, of course, for week 20, kicking off with free-to-air 1 to 5. 7 News Sunday taking out the top spot, and then The Voice getting a good showing. Oh, and good to see MasterChef coming in number 4.
Yeah, look, it's all news and reality programs. That's all we ever really get to see in the top 10 these days, isn't it? On free-to-air and the odd sports main, I guess we'll see NRL State of Origin cropping up soon. But until then, it's probably going to be news and reality. The
Sunday editions of news, it's massively
for
popular,
sure.
huh?
Well, everyone's home. You're not commuting back from work, I guess.
And then news continuing to dominate through 6 to 10. Channel 10, the only one being MasterChef for them?
Yeah, correct. It appeared a couple of times, but yeah. Well, it's good to have them competitive again.
It is. Let's take a look at subscription television week 20 as well. And AFL doing battle with the NRL, continuing tit for tat. AFL, NRL on a couple of AFL games.
Yeah, look, it's all the case this year, isn't it? You're going to see that. Of course, the State of Origin won't trouble their subscription TV because it's a free-to-air property only. Yep.
And non-sport ratings now. Selling houses again.
Selling houses. The usual suspects there isn't doing very well. A couple of The Simpsons still massively popular on Fox 8, cropping up down the bottom of the chart. It
just never goes away. The Simpsons. Did we sort out? Because I know we weren't sure if Real Housewives of Sydney was coming back. I know it was in my ear. We were told September. That just seems awfully soon for it coming back. Any inside word?
They might start filming the second season, I think, because they'll give them a break. But I don't think, because it's pretty full on for those people involved in that whole process, and I think their nerves are quite fraught by the end of that. They need to sort of take a deep breath and get away from it.
Where they all get together to the reunion. Oh my God! Like, you'd need a couple of weeks holiday just from that, wouldn't you? If you were involved, extraordinary.
For sure.
And look, one thing we forgot to touch on, but it's made national headlines. In fact, I think it made some international headlines. Rebel Wilson in court.
Amazing, isn't it? She seems to be enjoying it a real lot. I've never seen somebody...
She rapped in the witness box.
But she's just a bundle of... I guess it's good to see it.
Yeah.
Somebody in a bundle of joy and really vibed when they go into court, when they come out of court, stopping to speak to the media, which doesn't happen all that rarely. But she's unhappy with Bauer Media, I think particularly Women's Day, with how they've treated her. They said some of the editorial has actually impacted on her career. And at face value, you'd think, well, really? I mean... a magazine in Sydney, but I guess, you know, media around the world feeds on these celebrity stories and they get run elsewhere, and we might hear a little bit about that before this case plays out, because we've still got a fair bit to go, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it could go as long as 3 weeks.
Goodness. All right. James Manning, a pleasure as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week there. That is it for this week's edition of Media Week. Thanks very much for watching.